Here are a few more observations on Weems Creek, a tributary of the Severn River. We'll point out just a few things that have contributed to the death of the bay. This is an idyllic scene. As we go around here, we look up at the shoreline, we see a pretty good density of trees, although there are houses immediately behind them. Again, a nice clump of trees, although they're heavily overladen with English ivy. But when you get here, you find a house which is unobstructed by trees, and this is one of the big problems of the Chesapeake Bay, because homeowners everywhere, for the view, take down trees that lie between themselves and the water, thereby exposing a lot of earth, contributing to sedimentation and erosion, and allowing pollutants that fall on the earth from any source to get into the water. There is at the end of this pier toward the shore a very nice wetland. This has been here for quite a long time, and growing in the wetland are native grasses, not the Phragmites that you see in so many places. And there's a nice dog enjoying the Chesapeake environment. Going around in this direction, we see that this natural shoreline becomes disturbed. And a property owner here has put in a wooden bulkhead to retard erosion. Well, that is temporarily a good idea, I suppose. But it means that all waves generated by boats that hit that shore, instead of being attenuated by the shoreline, simply bounce off unattenuated, so that they carry their full energy back to where they came from. And then finally, if you go in this direction, you'll see a super hard rock shoreline, which absolutely makes it impossible for any life to exist or to breed at the shore margin, that area between land and water. Here's a bit more of the problem. The building straight ahead is one of the Maryland courts. This is a part of the judicial system of the state of Maryland, and you see they've provided some parking for employees, court employees and visitors, and people who are involved in cases. The property, of course, in historic times, was completely wooded. To my knowledge, there has never been a structure on this land. It is not used for any recreational purpose, like games and so forth. It is mowed only to look good, to look clean, to look neat. And the result is that this large area, instead of having trees that basically process all rainwater, has grass. Now, true, grass is better than asphalt in terms of permeability, but it is not nearly as efficient at processing water as a natural forested surface. So this is what has happened. Now I'd like to show you another part of the problem. We're standing on the grounds of the Naval Academy's football stadium right there. A very large stadium which is completely impermeable and catches a great deal of rainwater, but that's a small part of the problem. This is the huge part of the problem. There is a gigantic parking lot which is empty most of the time, unused, lightly traveled. It could be at least partially permeable, but it isn't. So all of the rainwater that hits this parking lot, and this parking lot, and this parking lot, and this parking lot, and most of the field beyond, is collected, flashes immediately into the closest stream. So there is no natural processing of the rainwater, and all of the pollutants, silt, oil, anything else that has been spilled by cars over the years then rolls immediately into the tributaries of the Chesapeake. Here's another shot of the Naval Academy Stadium parking lot. can see it's completely unused, which is its state most of the time. Completely impervious surface, extending to very large distances. I'll zoom into the more distant part of it. So rainwater, which strikes this completely impervious surface, then is gathered and shot immediately into the closest streams. Water that used to take tens to hundreds of years to go filtered through the groundwater system strikes the Chesapeake Bay within minutes. This is a very typical local shopping center. You notice the tremendous area of impervious cover in this entire parking lot, which is large, very large. There is a single tree. I'm glad to see one, but wouldn't it be nice if somehow more of the area had been covered in vegetation? In Europe, you frequently see parking lots that are made of pervious materials, even those which have soil in the cracks between them, so that a parking lot of this size from a distance would look completely green, even though it has a hard surface that can easily support cars. This is a mortuary. It's customers who used to knock down trees and build houses and buy cars that needed roads, that required forest clearing. Their customers no longer need those things. Their customers are no longer taking down the forests of the Chesapeake Bay watershed. Or are they? Even in death, providing for these customers required clearing the trees and covering the surface of a parking lot which is used maybe once or twice a week for a few hours, with completely impermeable surface, which generates, as you can imagine, enormous water flows.